Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my Blacadian universe. One of the great things, I know everyone says that social media is just awful, but I have to admit that as a sociologist, I love the access to all the information from society. The thing about social media is that it is like this wonderful data source, and that is sounding so creepy as I say it out loud. But honestly, I love studying people and knowing about people, and I find it very interesting, especially when it comes to social constructs. Unfortunately, racism and one of the things that I love is learning that uh, white people, it seemingly, based on my data source of social media, white people don't move out of the way of black and brown people. So let's talk about it. Fascinating. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. Yeah, I'm like, so Um, okay, again, let's start with the story. So, as you know, me and my bestie, we always talk about racism. Don't sit next to us at a restaurant because you are going to hear some things, okay? It's just, as a black woman navigating the world, I'm going to talk about racism because it is part of my life. So, I was meeting up with my friend, and I talked about on the way to meet her there. I'm walking and I was like, this dude like literally sees me, this white guy sees me. He like locks eyes with me and then proceeds to pretend, or I don't know, just assume that I am going to move out of his way. There is nobody on this damn sidewalk, okay? Very rare in this busy area, and there's nobody around, yet he thinks I'm gonna cross to like the opposite side just so that he can walk in a straight line. And I was not having it. I was like, I literally just, I was not having it, especially because we locked eyes. And I was like, it's not even like, he's blissfully unawares on his phone or whatever. He looked at me and then decided he was gonna like try to plow right through me. And I was like, not today. And I actually laughed out loud, LOL'd, because I was like, not today. He picked the wrong one today. And I just planted myself in the way, and I just was like looking. I was like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, let's fight. Okay. I don't know. And then he like literally, I stopped in my tracks and I walked around. So, anyways, I relayed this to my friend and I was like, isn't that insane? Like, isn't that just so crazy? We proceeded to talk about how, this is a very common occurrence as people of color to navigate. And I was just like, normally I would have been like, okay, whatever. And I was like, it is 2026 and the state of this world. How do you, like, I was, going on a rant, and I was like, this is my, micro way of, micro decolonization. I don't know what I said, but I was just not having it. And so one of the fascinating things is that I often think that these sort of things, having these conversations with my friends of color, my black friends, I should say, I'm trying to stop saying people of color. Sorry, it's just one of those things that I've unfortunately picked up in uh, navigating all of the many changes of languages of, it's very fluid. What's considered appropriate these days and less inclusive or more inclusive. Anyhow, So when I talk to my Black friends, we all know that this is the case. We've all experienced it. And what's so fascinating is that going to social media, I found that this is actually very well known. Very well known. So the other thing that I've also noticed is that it seems to be a conversation that only Black and brown people are having with each other. Like I've never I've never seen white people like, say we're not gonna move out of the way on the sidewalk for Black people today. It's just, this thing that happens to Black people that we all know. And so when I tell that joke to other Black people, when I say, I just refuse, I'm doing my little micro protests on the street, everyone was, LOLing about it because they've felt it. They've experienced it. They know that it's a real thing that is happening. And so, of course, as a sociologist, I was sort of thinking, why is it that it is so obvious to us that this happens to us as Black people um, in Canada and America? And it seems that it's just this known racist thing that happens to us. And so I was like, what could possibly be the reason? It could be cultural. It could be a cultural thing, but let's be honest. This is the Blacadian Podcast. I went deep. And like all things, all paths lead to racism when it comes to these things. So hear me out. So essentially, it's a spatial entitlement. It is spatial entitlement. To sum it up, this is my conclusions, my thesis. Here, my thesis on why this is the case. Let me break it down. So, white people not moving on the sidewalk is based in this idea that Black bodies don't deserve space, and their bodies do. It's again that belief that they are inherently more human, more important than other human beings. Again, that idea of white entitlement and privilege. So it's basically this idea of this hierarchy. So of course they wouldn't move out of our way because their bodies are more important than ours. So it's again, they feel like they deserve more space than Black people. And I'll liken it to, again, as I talked about in my previous episode about other systems of oppression, how, white people understand how sexism touches many different aspects of their lives. It's the same for women being expected to stay small in certain spaces. So as another example of that, because you'll be like, oh, Denise, you're crazy. It's just to like move out of the way. It's just a guy being a jerk on the sidewalk. No. It is a system. It is a system of oppression. Just as women are expected to be small and dainty and quiet and not take up space, it is the same for Black bodies to not be entitled to have space in the world. We are supposed to move, we are supposed to accommodate white people in spaces. Okay, so that's the comparison. It is this, so it can be unconscious or conscious of that privilege. They might not even know that they are thinking that they own this space. They're not, they're probably like, oh my gosh, why is this, black chick being so rude, not moving for me? Some people might even think that. I've encountered people that think that too. Like I've literally, I distinctly remember body checking a woman because she thought she could walk side by side up some stairs and I would have to, I don't know what, like crawl across the banister. I don't know what, but I remember just being like, oops. And I just kept walking because she literally thought she was going to take up the whole space. So I was like, not today, ho. I mean, I just, ma'am, not today, ma'am. So I would just remember being like, no, no, we're going to squish. We're going to be squishing it aside. And so it's that thing where you're like, um, they might think that they own this space. And I also particularly did it because it was, I'll be honest, it was a sporting goods store. And I felt like, I'm pretty sure I was like the only black person in there. And I felt like it was like a show of you do not belong here. So I was like, it's on. Um, Make space for me. Like I was like, make space for me in this space. Anyway, so it's that assumption of I own this space. It is power, it is authority, that assumption of authority over me in these spaces or Black people in these spaces. And that is, again, back to that sort of maybe they're thinking it on purpose or maybe they're just thinking it um, unconsciously or consciously. They're just like, oh, what is this Black person doing in this space? Like we've all felt it as Black people when you go into a predominantly white space and like people are just trying to compute why you are there. A lot of people, Black people, I know we are very aware because that is a survival technique. We have to be, like the Born Identity, counting exits, making sure we know where we are to stay safe. And sometimes, white people don't recognize it for what it is, that they're like, oh, I'm not used to seeing a Black person in this, predominantly white space, whatever that means, if it's a sporting goods store or if it's, a space that they're just thinking no Black people are supposed to be here. There's like, whether it be interest or, a socioeconomic break, like I'm in a luxury space or I'm traveling somewhere that's, people think that Black people don't go there. So, we're used to that, but I don't know. And again, just from my work and working in diversity, equity, inclusion, just people being like, I genuinely know, especially here in Canada, some people just have never questioned themselves, never looked inward on those thoughts. They'll never recognize them, or they haven't yet recognized them, done the work to recognize what they're feeling is racial bias. They'll be like, oh, they'll assume that, my girlfriend is like a famous athlete when we're in an expensive place. Um, they'll be like, oh my gosh, they must be, uber wealthy because they're in this space. I mean, while they're like just a regular person, but for us, we have to be like, friggin' Beyonce to be in this space. Um, so they won't realize that their shock at seeing a Black body in this space is their racial bias. So, again, unconscious or unconscious, they're feeling that they are still in the right to take up more space than me because for whatever reason, I'm here on some sort of technicality and shouldn't be here. So, and the last possible thing is just a lack of awareness. It's just a lack of awareness. When you are presumed that you are dominant in a space, when you feel that dominance, when you feel like you are entitled, you have that privilege of everything, systems, laws, literal neighborhoods being built for people that look like you, for you, by you, you don't often consider what it is like moving in that space as someone who doesn't look like you. So I feel like they are just literally unaware of this behavior. Maybe they don't move for other white people. I have no idea. But it's just this idea that, maybe they're just walking around body checking everybody. I don't know. But that could be another possibility, but it is entirely just this idea of spatial entitlement. They are feeling entitled and they do not want to give up that space when they are moving through the world that has literally been built for them. And people like me are expected to take up less space and accommodate them so that they can have all the space that they could possibly need. And it is ridiculous. So I am giving you homework. That's right, homework. So if you are a person who identifies as white, I challenge you to move through the world and make space for Black people. I want you to be spatially aware. See how you move through the space. Do you expect people to move out of the way for you if they do not look like you? I challenge you to be aware of how you move through the world and accommodate Black people. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how shocked shocked you're going to be making some Black people in the world. And it's good karma. And if you are a person who identifies as Black, do not move out of the way of a white person if they are acting like they are entitled to public space. Decolonize that sidewalk. Have your micro protest and decolonize that sidewalk. Do not move. Claim that space. Thank you so much for listening with me and hopefully laughing with me through this. And I will absolutely be collecting more data through social media because I'm a sociologist. Thank you so much for listening. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you're moving through the world and decolonizing that space. As always, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.